The early classic ballads in the Irish song tradition, the title of the presentation comes is appropriate because primarily I'm a singer interested in songs and singers. I am not and do not claim to be a ballad scholar, but these ballads and stories that they tell has fascinated me over the last number of years. I'll be concentrating on a couple of people today, and this is the man himself, Francis James Child, published his selection. Born 1825, died 1895, son of a Boston sailmaker. Child's family was poor. He attended Boston Grammar School and the English High School. It was only through the generosity of East Sergeant Dixwell, the principal of the Latin school, that he recognised Child's genius, and Child was able to enter Harvard College. In 1851 he was named a professor of rhetoric and oratory and held the position for 25 years. Strangely, Child never completed the PhD, did not. He was awarded 3 of them by various colleges, but without them actually, his work would have merited it. All of the songs today are included in Child's seminal 5-volume collection entitled The English and Scottish Popular Ballads, which was published in Cambridge, Massachusetts between the years 1882 to 1898, and which is considered by many as the canon of folk music. Scholarly works refer to Child Ballads by number. For instance, Child 2 is the Elfin Knight, and Child 12 was Lord Randall, etc. The collection consists of exhaustive research on 305 ballads. Unlike earlier scholars, Child research focused primarily on manuscripts of ballads rather than printed versions, and we'll hear what he had to say about the broadside tradition in a few minutes. Child also investigated and collected songs and stories in other languages that were related to the English and Scottish ballads. Child's research was international in scope, covering 37 languages. The main people I'm going to be talking about here are 2 people, and this is the first of them, and probably Ireland's most prolific folk song collector, Tom Munnelly. Born in Dublin 1944, died Milltown, Malway 2007. Singer and amateur collector who was living in Dublin in the 60s. Became a professional folklore collector for a pilot project with the Department of Education in 1971, together with Sean Corporal and Micheál O'Donnell. The project was subsequently taken over by the Department of Folklore, the National Folklore Collection UCD, with Tom as the sole collector of English language song. He moved to Milltown, Malway, County Clare in 1978. He was chair of the Willie Clancy Summer School in 1984-1991 and founding chair of the Irish Traditional Music Archive. He lectured extensively at home and abroad, and he collected in excess of 17,000 pieces of folklore. Early Ballads in Ireland was one of his major sort of publications. Presents 21 ballads recorded between 1968 and 1985, and you'll hear a number of them in this recital today. He awarded an honorary PhD by NUIG in 2007, and a book of his presentations and lectures entitled The Singing Will Never Be Done was published in August 2014, and if anyone is interested in acquiring it, it's available from Ireland and Clare and from ITMA. The second man I'm going to talk about is this man, Hugh Shields. Hugh Shields, born Belfast 1929, died Dublin 2008. Senior lecturer in French, Trinity College Dublin, became an authority on Irish traditional song and had an international reputation as a ballad scholar. Tom Munnelly said of him, by far the greatest, most erudite scholar in this country in the field of traditional song in English. Collected extensively with particular emphasis on the northern counties. He published Narrative Singing in Ireland, Lays, Ballads, Comoilies and Other Songs in 1993, Tunes of the Munster Pipers, Volume 1 in 1998, and Volume 2 was published posthumously in 2013. He collaborated with Tom on the publication of early ballads in Ireland, and he collected from Eddie Butcher from Coleraine starting in 1953, right up to Eddie's death in 1980, and published recordings of Eddie in Shamrock, Rose and Thistle. And there is the 2 men at a recital in Milltown, Malway in 1979. So the fact that there are versions of these classic ballads that have been collected in Ireland is interesting and needs one to speculate as to how they may have arrived here. It's certain that some of them were carried back by paddy hawkers, migrant labourers who travelled to Scotland for potatoes picking. These were mainly from Donegal, but also from Mayo and even as far south as Galway. It has been documented that they spent their evening and night singing songs to while away the time in the bothies where they were housed. In these bothies would be Scots and Irish, so it's reasonable to think there was interaction between both nationalities. In several cases, the songs were collected from travellers, and lots of these Scots travellers had come to Ireland and brought songs with them, and it has to be said that the Travellers did a huge sort of service in maintaining these songs, because we have to remember that the Travellers were probably the last ethnic group who were not affected by the mass media, and therefore their entertainment was singing ballads and telling stories and so forth in the evenings at the campfires. The main occupation of Travellers would be selling ballads at fairs and football games and singing about that. So a lot of the ballads were taken up by the broadsheet printers and printed then. It's very interesting when we know what Child said of the broadsheet tradition, and this was in 1882. He said, "The immense collection of broadside ballads doubtless contains some ballads which you would at once declare to possess the popular character, and yet on the whole they are veritable dunghills, in which only after a great deal of sickening grubbing one finds a very moderate jewel." End quote. The exact quote is from a letter sent by Child to Sven Grundtvig in Copenhagen in 1872. The booklet that you have in your hand there, that contains the versions current in tradition in Ireland, and also a version nearest approximating to it that Child published in his collection. The first one is this woman here, Nora Cleary, and it's a version of the Green Wedding, Child 221, Catherine Jaffray, and Child published 12 versions of it, 11 full versions and a 3-verse fragment. The text in the book that you have there was taken by him from the William Motherwell Minstrelsy manuscript. William Motherwell was a man, 1797, 1835, and he collected ballads extensively. It was written down in 1825 from the recitation of Robert Sim, a weaver in Paisley, who said it was a favourite of his father's, a great reciter of heroic ballads. And that brings up something then, because in an awful lot of cases at that time, these ballads were recited rather than sung. The man who did all the work on the tunes of Child ballads was Bertrand Harris Bronson, and he published 4 volumes of the tunes of the Child ballads in this century here. This ballad was first published by Sir Walter Scott under the title of The Laird of Lamington in his first edition of The Minstrelsy of the Scottish Barber in 1802. This was recorded by Jim Carroll and Pat Mackenzie in Nora Cleary's home in the Hand, Milltown, Malbay, County Clare in 1976. Nora was an absolutely lovely woman who loved singing and loved nothing better than just to sing and listen to songs. Nora Cleary.
There was a squire in Burrtown, and a squire of a high degree. He fell courting a comely girl, and a comely girl was she. She got consent from father and mother, from old and young likewise. And then she said, "I am done," and the tears fell from her eyes. She wrote her love a letter and sealed it with her right hand, and told him she was to be wedded to a very farmer's son. The very first line he looked over it, he smiled and thus did say, "I might deprive him of his bridal on his wedding day." He wrote her back an answer, and that without delay. He wrote her back an answer, to be sure to be dressed in green. "As suit of the same I will put on, the wedding I will see. As suit of the same I will put on, the wedding I'll prepare. Oh dearest, dearest, with you I wed in spite of all there." He looked east and he looked west and all around the land. He selected a score of fine young men, all of a Scottish clan. They rode on into the trees, and a single man Rosie, and away they went to the wedding house with his company dressed in green. "Oh, welcome and oh, welcome, where have you spent the day? laughed at them, he scoffed at them, he smiled and thus did say, they might have been some fairy truth who rode along this way. She filled him a glass of new port wine, he said to the company round. Where replied is the man, he said, the man they call him groom. Where replied is the man, he said, who will enjoy their bride. For another might like her as well as him, and would take her from his side. Then now spoke the bachelor with a voice so loud and clear, saying, if it is for fight that you come here, I am the man for thee. It's not for fight that I come here, but friendship for to show. Give me one kiss from your bonny, bonny bride, and away from you I go. He caught her by the middle so smart, and by the grass green tree. He marched her out of the wedding house, but his company asked no leave. The drums did beat and harmonium song, most glorious to be seen. And away he went to Edinburgh town with his company.
That's Nora Cleary singing that lovely version of the Green Wedding. There are versions of that all over, and a lot of the old singers, particularly in Clare, would have versions of it. The next song I'm going to talk about is a song called Fair Margaret and Sweet William. And the text of the book that you have there from Child was taken from a broadside or stall copy published in Percy's Relics of Ancient English Poetry in 1776. I learned this song from a recording of Martin Howley from Fanor in northwest County Clare, and a quote from Jim Carroll and Pat Mackenzie again in Around the Hills of Clare. They said, the ballad of Fair Margaret and Sweet William was first quoted in part in the Beaumont and Fletcher play The Night of the Burning Pestle in 1611. While it has been found in oral tradition in England and Scotland, it seems to have survived best among singers in the United States. And when you look at Bronson, there are dozens of versions from the United States. Evelyn Ramsey and Almeida Riddle being two of the sound recordings published. And you'll hear a couple of verses from Evelyn Ramsey's version just at the end, after I sing the one I'm going to sing. The only other version to have turned up in Ireland was in the Percy manuscripts, and had been written down by the mother of the Bishop of Derry in 1776, who had learned it in childhood in the West Country in England. The singer, Martin Howley, was a general labourer, born 1902, and he died in 1981, passionately interested in songs and loved to share them with anyone else. I remember hearing him singing at Tom Munnelly's singing afternoons during the Willie Clancy School in the latter part of the 70s. Martin learned his version when he was very young from a traveller again, a travelling woman named Sherlock, and I'm reliably informed that the Sherlocks are still around the North Clare area. So I'll just move the microphone. I think it's better that we have sort of live singers as well as just recordings. Knight William was sitting on his old armchair, Lady Margaret was sitting on his knee. My father, she said, would think it a disgrace to have me get married unto thee. If that be the way, Knight William, he said, if that be the way, said he, in 3 short weeks 'twill be all to an end, and my brave royal wedding you shall see. Lady Margaret was sitting at her top room window, combing down her yellow long hair. Who should she see but Knight William and his bride, and they going to take the fresh air. She threw away her ivory comb, and she tied up her yellow long hair. She threw herself down from the top room window, and was never seen there any more. It was at the dead part of the night, when everyone was asleep.
In came the ghost of Lady Margaret, and she stood at Knight William's bed feet. Knight William, Knight William, Knight William, she said, how fast you are asleep. It's now you're enjoying your newly wedded bride, and you've left me all in my winding sheet. For the lily and the rose and the covering of my clothes, my true love has sent me to sleep. Knight William arose and he called his merry men. He called them by one, by two, by three. He dressed them all in a scarlet of red, and himself in a suit of the green. They rode and they rode to Lady Margaret's house, and so gently went tipping at the ring. None was as ready as Lady Margaret's brother to come up and let Knight William in. Oh, it's fondly I've kissed those ruby lips, and so softly thou hast kissed mine. But I vow and declare, Lady Margaret, he said, I'll never kiss any but thine. Lady Margaret was buried in St. Mary's Church, and Knight William was buried in the Bower. Over Lady Margaret there grew a red rose, and over Knight William a briar. They grew and they grew for 7 long years, until they could grow no higher. They grew and they grew to a true lover's knot, and the red rose covered the briar.
I mentioned the version by Alida Riddle and Evelyn Ramsey. I'm just going to ask my partner Rosie Davies to come up and sing a couple of verses of Evelyn Ramsey's version, just to show how these songs were carried to the United States and developed further there, and they're still extant there.
Lady Margaret sat in a high hold doll, combing back a long yellow hair. She saw sweet William and his new made bride go a-riding by so near. She threw down her ivory comb, threw back her long yellow hair, said, I'll go down and bid them farewell and never more go there.
Thanks, Rosie. Lovely. One of the big songs, Lambkin, Child 93, and there are 22 versions of this in Child, 4 English, 17 Scottish, 4 English and 1 Irish. The text in the book that you have there was taken from the manuscript of Whitelaw's Book of Scottish Ballads in the possession of W.H. Logan of Edinburgh, and it was derived from oral tradition. Originally a Scottish ballad about a mason who built a castle and was not paid for it, he extracted a terrible revenge on the lord who commissioned the castle. The name of the central character has been subject of considerable speculation. Miss Anne Gilchrist in the Journal of the English Folk Dance and Song Society points out that the name Lambkin is of Flemish origin, and that there were colonies of Flemings in the northeast of Scotland from the Middle Ages onwards. Child suggests that Lambkin was a sobriquet applied in derision of the meekness with which the builder had submitted to his injury. The story as presented is one of unmitigated violence and cruelty, and the Irish version which Child published was recited to him in 1881 by Ellen Healy, and she has heard a woman called Moll Loughney, about 70 years of age at the time, singing it in Killarney in 1867. As I've said, the glorious songs typified by the line, blood in the kitchen, blood in the hall, blood in the cradle, and that was worst of all. There's some lovely images in the ballad too, particularly the one of the bright mantle to come down the stairs. Another interesting aspect is the localisation of the ballad by saying that the nurse Falsnora was burned in the hills of Fermoy. This recording was made by Tom Munley in 1971 in a bow tent in the bog in Coot Hall, County Roscommon. And you'll hear lots of stuff going on. For instance, there are children coming into the tent at the time, and there's also a dog that keep coming in. And it's very difficult. The singer is trying to sing the song and not be distracted with all of these distractions going on. So this is John Riley Jr. This man, John Riley Jr., some of us would be aware, just in case you're not, of John Riley, the singer that Tom collected a song called The Well Below the Valley, and also a fantastic version of Lord Bateman from. But this is a nephew of his, John Riley Jr., we call him. Okay. A little bit of a lead in here because these are field recordings, as you might imagine.
Of the Lord and His lady, they went walking one day. Said the Lord to His lady, those words He did say. Beware of false Lincoln, artisan the of his men. Beware of false Nora, and the don't play her in. And I'm not afraid of false Lincoln, artisan of his men. I've made over fairly bolted, and my windows are in. Now the Lord was not long gone, when false Lincoln came in, and he might die to do, and the merciless amen. Say now where is the Lord gone? Artisan he Adam, he is gone to fair England for to speak to the king. The false Nora, yes, and Jakey was a stab in the side. False Nora, yes, and Jakey was a stab in the night. False Nora, are you asleep or awake? Don't you hear me crying, baby, and crying away? I cannot place your baby made of breast milk or wine. I would beg you, my lady, would you double a while? It is how could I get down there? This dark dreary night, without a fire before me, or a candle to light. You have three of those bright mantles, dear as bright as the moon. You put warmth in all around you, you will get down here soon. She put warmth in all around her. She came creeping downstairs into False Lincoln's iron. This lady appeared. False Lincoln, will you spare me 1 hour? And I'll give you as much money, oh, that lies in my power. If you give me as much money that my horses could not draw, that will I keep my on your white naked jowl. Past the Lancome, will you spare me 1 hour? And I'll give you my daughter Basie, she's a flock of the flower. You call down your daughter Basie, and that's in her to work. Part of scarlet celebration, part to hold your heart's blood. Daughter Basie, keep yourself locked up high, 'cause your dad, oh, he will come here when he's late now by and by. Oh, fast Lancome was not long gone, was a right from this place. When the Lord he came here, and the place in last grace, there was blood in the kitchen, there was blood in the hall, there was blood in the cradle, it was first and all. There was blood in the kitchen, there was blood in the hall, and the young Queen of England lying dead by the wall. Daughter Basie, it is who was that in Parcel Lancome, he was here, 20 of his brave men. Parcel Lancome was hung in, was a scaffold so high, and the Rosie was burning in the middle of her mind.
I think you'll agree that it's very gory, but it's probably one of the bloodiest ones I've heard anyway. I remember the first time hearing that as a sort of a young man, Tom Mumley and myself in the 60s, and I think it was Johnny Martin sang Long Lankin, and I just was astonished. I've never heard anything like this, just astonished me. Just to move on, I'm going to get another live singer, that's another live one. This is Hughie the Grain, Child 191, Hughie the Grain, and I'm going to ask Jim McFarland to come up and sing it. Just before he on his way up, I'll just tell you, the text in the book that was taken from Child was taken from Peter Buchan's manuscript of 1828, which is in the British Museum. To quote from Child, according to tradition, about the year 1560, Robert Aldrich, Bishop of Carlisle, seduced the wife of Hugh Graham, one of the Border chiefs. Graham, being unable to bring so powerful a prelate to justice, in revenge made an excursion into Cumberland and carried off a fine mare belonging to the bishop. He was pursued by Sir John Scroop, Warden of Carlisle, apprehended, carried back to Carlisle, where he was tried, convicted and hanged. Great intercessions were made on his behalf, but the bishop was determined to remove the chief obstacle to his guilty passions, and he was hanged, a victim of his own indiscretion and his wife's infidelity. I see Len Graham is here then, and like this one, end quote. Child also quotes Alan Cunningham in writing, tradition in all the varieties of her legends never invented such an unnecessary and superfluous reason as this. The Grahams never waited for anything like pretense to steal. Jim is going to sing a version that he has. Maybe just tell you about the version that he's singing.
Yeah, I originally heard this in Belfast at a singing session way back in 1972 from a singer called Roisín. What drew me to it was the chorus, by the way. I come from Derry, and the chorus is Tameray of London, Derry. My good Lord, whom do the hunting gain o'er the hill and mountains clear? And he's taken Hugh the Grim for the stealing of the bishop's mare. Tameray, O Londonderry, Tameray, O Londonderry. He has taken Hugh the Grim and led him down by Strickland town. 15 of them cried out obedience, Hugh the Grim, he must be down. Tameray, O Londonderry, Tameray, O Londonderry. What I did I say, Hugh the Grim? Me parents would think it a very great lark. 15 feet in the air he jumped, with his hands tied fast behind his back. Tameray, O Londonderry, Tameray, O Londonderry. Then up and spake the lady black, nor will she was rich free. I'll give 1,000 crowns, me laird, if you the Graham set free to me. Tameray, O Londonderry, Tameray, O Londonderry. Hold your tongue, you lady black, and you let all your pleading be. Though you would give me 1,010, it's for my honour he shall die. Tameray, O Londonderry, Tameray, O Londonderry. Then up and spake the lady Hume, and o'er will she was rich free. I'll give 1,000 milk white steeds, you the Graham set free to me. Tameray, O Londonderry, Tameray, O Londonderry. Hold your tongue, you lady Hume, and ye let all your pleading be. Though all the Grahams were in this court, it's for my honour he shall die. Tameray, O Londonderry, Tameray, O Londonderry. Come give me brother John a sword that's painted with a metal clear. Bid him come at 8 o'clock and see me pay for the bishops and mare. Tameray, O Londonderry, Tameray, O Londonderry. And give the news to Maggie, me wife, next time ye gang to Strickland town. She is the cause I lose me life, she where the bishops play the loon. Tameray, O Londonderry, Tameray, O Londonderry. Tameray, O Londonderry, Tameray, O Londonderry.
Brilliant, thanks very much, Jim. Right, so we can speak on. We're going on to a song called Little Sir Hugh, and this is the singer here with Hugh Shields in Mallinbeg in 1981, John Bonborn from Donegal, and that's a lovely photograph of these sort of men and people that sang these songs. And we'll go on to Child 155, Sir Hugh or the Hugh's Daughter, 21 versions, some fragments. The text in the booklet from Child is taken from a publication entitled Sir Hugh of Lincoln, or an examination of a curious tradition respecting the Jews, with a notice of the popular poetry connected with it, by the Reverend Abraham Hume, published in London in 1849. The story of the child who was kidnapped and crucified by Jews recurs over and over again right up to the 20th century. It was often used to incite anti-Semitic feelings and to start pogroms. One of the most celebrated cases of this was in 1255 in Lincoln, when a Jew named Coppin was accused of crucifying a boy named Hugh and using his bowels for divination. As a result of this, Coppin and 18 of the richest Jews were hanged and had their wealth confiscated, and 70 more were sentenced to be hung in the Tower of London. James Joyce actually included this ballad, music and all, in the etiquette chapter in Ulysses, and this is John Von Bourne singing it. Lovely singing. It's one I don't hear about.
In the summertime, when all the lakes were dry, when all the scholars among Town got out to play the ball, got out to play the ball. A Jewish maid came passing by. She examined the scholars all, saying, come here, my little Sir Hugh, you're the fairest among them all. Oh, you're the fairest among them all. I can't go here or I can't go there without my mamma's leave. For if I would do anything wrong, full sure she would me bang, full sure she would me bang. She caught him by the milk-white hand and led him from room to room until she came to her own chamber room, where no one could hear his moan, where no one could hear his moan. A little penknife she then pulled out and stuck it in his heart. The first that came was the purest of blood, and the next that came was sin, and the third that came was his bonny heart blood, where that his life lay in where there his life lay in. A heavy chain of lead she then pulled out, and twinkled it around his neck, and she dragged him to a deep strong well that was 70 fathom deep, that was 70 fathom deep. It said you lie, my little Sir Hugh, and the deal forbid you swum, for fear that me or any of mine should ever bear the blame, should ever bear the blame. Day passed by and night came on, and all the scholars got leave, and every mother had her own dear child. Lady Anne's bell had none, Lady Anne's bell had none. She travelled all along the street with a small cane in her hand, saying, if I meet my little Sir Hugh, full sure I will him bang, full sure I will him bang. She travelled all along the street until she came to the Burgundy, Burgundy. Is it here you lie, my little Sir Hugh? And God forbid it be, if you ever spoke to a woman in your life, dear child, won't you speak to me? Me, dear child, won't you speak to me? It's here I lie, dear mamma, he said, and the weight lies heavy on, for the little penknife that pierced my heart, I dare not speak with pain, pain, I dare not speak with pain. Go home, dear mother, he said, and weep no more for me, for if you do, to the day you die, you'll have no more of me, you'll have no more of me. Bring my blessing home to my father, he said, and to the schoolboys all, and tell them all to never forget the day we played the ball, the day we played the ball. That's a song there.
That's a song that I'm not aware that anyone sings that regularly. A lot of the other songs that you've heard up to now, I know people who sing. Does anyone know anyone who sings for Hugh? Luke Cheever sings a version of it. Okay, so moving on quickly, The Grey Cock, and this is Child 248, and I Saw You My Father, one version only in Child, and this is the source singer here, the woman called Cecilia Costello, and just to show you a little bit, Cecilia Costello, Nee Kelly, was born at the Pipeline Yard in Pershore Street behind the building in Birmingham, 1884. She was viewed with 10 children, 5 boys and 5 girls. Her mother, Margaret Kelly, was from Galway, and her father, Edward Costello, was from Roscommon, and they had come over from Ireland with others to escape the famine and stuff like that. So, sorry about this. Yes, and I'm going to ask Rosie Davis to come up and sing this version. Okay, the text from Child in your booklet comes from Haird's Ancient and Modern Scots Songs, published in 1769. It was also printed in the Songster's Companion, second edition of 1772. It was stated to be, quote, a great favourite in Scotland for a long time past, end quote. A ballad of supernatural, it was known throughout Europe. The injunction to the cock not to crow till this day is also found in Graves' Irish Songs and Ballads, London 1882. Child says, and I quote, the first stanza of The Grey Cock seems to have been suggested by Sweet William's Ghost, of which the Irish ballad noted by Graves may have been a variant, end quote. The version which we will be most familiar with in this country is the one, of course, from Joe Holmes, which you will hear in the recital next Wednesday night, sung by Róisín and Langrain. Looking at that version and the words of it is remarkably similar to the version which was published by Herbert Hughes in Irish Country Songs Volume 2 in 1915. Patrick Weston Joyce also published a version called The Lover's Ghost, which he had learned in childhood at Glenorchy in his old Irish folk music and songs in 1909. And there's also a superb recording by Sean O'Boyle of Robert Cinnamon in 1955. The version that Rosie is going to sing is the original version from Cecilia Costello, as published in the Penguin Book of English Folk Songs in 1959. Subsequent recordings were made, and at that stage, Cecilia Costello had added a second last verse, an extra verse, which she didn't sing the first time, and the speculation was that she had added the verse from Willie O, the Bay of Biscay O, to it to sort of pad it out. But I think it's not in time. So Rosie Davis singing Cecilia Costello's version of The Grey Cock.
I must be going, no longer staying. The burning Thames I have to cross, and I must be guided without a stumble into the arms of my dear lass. And when he came to his true love's window, he knelt down gently on a stone, and it's through a pane he whispered slowly, "Oh, my dear girl, are you alone?" She rose her head from a down soft pillow, and snowy web her milk-white breast. Who's there at my bedroom window, disturbing me from my long night's rest? I am your love, and don't discover. I pray you rise, love, and let me in, for I am fatigued from my long night's journey. Besides, I'm wet into the skin. Oh, this girl, she rose and put on her clothing, and quickly she let her own true love in. They kissed, shook hands, and embraced together, till that long night was near its end. And it's Willie dear, oh dearest Willie, where is the colour you had some time ago? Oh Mary dear, the clay has changed me, I'm but the ghost of your Willie. And it's cock, oh cock, oh handsome cockerel, I'll pray you not crow until it's day. And your wings I'll make of the very first beaten gold, and your comb I'll make of the silver grey. But the cock he crew, and he crew so fully, he crew 3 hours before it was day. And when it was day, my love had to go away, not by the light of the moon, nor the light of the day. And it's Willie dear, oh dearest Willie, whenever shall I see you again? When the fish do fly low, and the seas run dry low, and the rocks they melt in the heat of the sun.
Okay, 2 more songs. So, our own asking you, Child 12, a version of Lord Randall, and Child published 15 versions, 12 Scottish, 1 English, 1 Irish, and 1 American. The text in the handout published by Child was taken from a manuscript loaned to him by William MacMahon of Edinburgh in 1710. One of the few classic ballads to be translated into the Irish language. In a paper given to Cummickeo Tír na Herdin and published in Folklife 10 in 1972, Hugh Shields says, and I quote, "Only 4 such songs can be derived with certainty from British ballads. In subject matter, these 4 are extremely varied," end quote. He then names them as 1. Pegginess Padder, a version of Our Good Man, Child 274. Him na Coscar and Wira agus Nave Joseph, a version of the Cherry Tree Carol, Child 54. Balya Yo, a version of the Two Sisters, Child 10. And the ballad we're talking about today, Óráin Ascaine, or the Song of the Yield, a version of Lord Randall. Yet, in his book Narrative Singing in Ireland, published in 1993, Dr. Shields says, only 2 ballads seem to have gone into Irish retaining something of the ballad character, end quote. He then named them as Choros ar Faglan Leum, a version of Lord Randall, collected in Roscommon in 1905, and Muire agus Nave Joseph, the Cherry Tree Carol, Child 54, collected in 1897, and both edited by Douglas de Hige, a former president. One is curious to know what occurred that Dr. Shields rejected Peggy Miss Padda and Ballylow as true representations of British ballads. Unfortunately, it's gone to the grave with him. We never will know why he changed his mind. It's funny, over the weekend I heard 2 different versions of this song at the Féile Óráin on Clara in Newtown Malbay, and Córa Malabagum is the version from Muscree and won by Nellie Cronin, who just has recently won Corny Riada. The singer here, Cullivan MacDonagh, died in 1976, soon after the recording was made, and as far as I'm aware, it was a brother of the recently deceased superb Shamno singer, Dara Bán MacDonagh. The reason they were both called Bán is they were albinos. So this is Cullivan singing Óráin Ascaine. but that's a Cullivan MacDonagh. That recording was made by Angela Partridge on the 30th of June 1975, just before he died, and was featured in a publication called Scale Oland Celtica, a Brooklyn tape that was released by Dr. Shields around the 80s. Finally, and we started with a song in which nobody died, and we finished with a song in which nobody dies. The Shepherd's Boy, Child 112, a version of The Battle Night or Blow Away the Morning Dew. Child published 5 versions, all comparatively full versions. The text in the booklet that you have was taken from Aird's Ancient and Modern Songs of 1769, where it's called The Shepherd's Son, and it's very, very close to what it's called here. A version is recorded in Thomas Ravenscroft's Deuteromelia in 1609 with a matching tune, making this one of the few early ballads for which there is an extant original music. Again, there are versions of this ballad in Spain, Portugal, France, Italy, Denmark and Germany. The singer here, John Campbell, was originally from Shankill, County Cavan, but was living in Bettystown, County Meath at the time of the recording. The image up there is, on the slide, it's a painting entitled The Battle Night by a Victoria painter called John Byam Liston Shaw. And this recording was made by Tom Munley in 1984 in a guest house at a singing weekend in Fork Hill at breakfast, and he'd heard the man sing it the night before and decided that he would record it. Mick Fowler in Golding sings this song regularly. So here's John Campbell singing The Battle Night. Shepherd's Boy.
Oh, there was a shepherd's boy and he had sheep out on the hill. He went down to the river for to see the lassie swimming on his own Malamo. Rocky miss you while you lads, rocky miss you while you lads, oh. It would be better for the girls for to sew their silks and slips than to be going down to the river trying to swim again the stream of his own Malamo. Rocky miss you while you lads, rocky miss you while you lads, oh. Come on, young man, she said, unto the field of hay, and that will be the bonny place for you and me will play. Yoggers, oh, Malamo, rock and miss you while you lads, rock and miss you while you lads, oh. Come on, young man, she said, unto the field of rye, and that will be the bonny place for you and me will be dry. Yoggers, oh, Malamo, rock and miss you while you lads, rock and miss you while you lads, oh. Ah, don't you tear me petticoat, now don't you tear me gown, but coming home to me father's house and you'll have your will in £100. No, Malamo, rock and miss you while you lads, rock and miss you while you lads, oh. They went home to our father's house and I tell you it's no fable. When they got to bed upstairs, sure the boy he wasn't able. Oh, Malamo, rock and miss you while you lads, rock and miss you while you lads, oh. She said, you're like an old dog me father had, he had a bushy tail. He'd lay his head in the sack, but he wouldn't eat the middle of his own Malamo. Rock and miss you while you lads, rock and miss you while you lads, oh. You're like an old cock me father had, he couldn't thread the hens. So now me bonny young boys, I think you want a deaf muggers, oh, Malamo. Rock and miss you while you lads, rock and miss you while you lads, oh.
So that's just a dip in. I hope to maybe whet your appetite to come along to the recital. The first recital is tonight at 7 o'clock with Jim McFarland and Grace Toland, and then recitals every Wednesday for the following 3 Wednesdays. Thank you very much for coming, and I hope I got something out of it anyway. Thank you.